stay there during that period of time. It doesn't take them very long to put them in. So hopefully everybody will take advantage of that. So, and our speaker tonight that I know you're all very excited to hear from is one of our own policemen from the Sheriff's Department and Shoreline Fire Police Department. She's been with the Sheriff's Department for 18 years. She has been in Shoreline since 2006, leaving for a short term. So at this time, I'd like you to welcome Paula Bates.
Hi there. I'm going to apologize. We weren't supposed to be in this room. Usually our screen is a lot bigger, but we'll make do. This will get bigger as I go through it, but if anybody has trouble seeing any of the detail, just let me know. I can kind of clarify it for you. A little bit about myself. I'm Paula, and as previously mentioned, I've been with the King County Sheriff's Office for 18 years. I've worked a number of different areas. I've worked a number of different jobs. A lot of my time, most of my time, save for 4 years, has been on patrol wearing a uniform. I started in the east side of the county, working the valley, Carnation, Duval out there, the unincorporated parts of King County. It's very dark at night out there. So I had great times out there as a new cop. Lots of fun to be had, worked with a great group of people. In 2006, I came to the city of Shoreline. As most of you probably know, the city is a contract within the Sheriff's Office, and I'll go over that a little bit in my presentation about what exactly that means and how Shoreline gets a great benefit from the Sheriff's Office because of that. So I came here in 2006 as a traffic officer. I did traffic for 2 years. I didn't really care for that, so I moved on and went just regular patrol, taking calls. Became a trainer, started training recruits, became a master police officer. In 2011, I took a detective job in the south end of the county with another one of our contracts down in transit. And I worked kind of in an undercover capacity for 4 years, from 2011 to 2015. As I was explaining in here before a lot of you arrived, it was a very interesting 4 years as I worked basically one big case that entire time I was gone from Shoreline. It also resulted in me being getting on the FBI task force, Safe Streets. So I did that for a little while, worked with a couple money laundering investigations that actually stemmed from the one big case I worked as a detective. So really interesting. I got to go a lot of different places and see a lot of different things and that otherwise I wouldn't have got to do. So it was a really great experience for me. But from the day I left, I missed my uniform. I don't know why. I guess it was just easier to decide what to wear to work every day if I didn't have a uniform to put on. So in 2015, I decided to come back to patrol. Again, I came out and I started training recruits again, which I don't know why I do that because it's really hard work. Became a master police officer again. And from 2015 to just the end of 2016, I was working patrol. 2016, at the end of 2016, I got the community outreach job. So I've been doing, is that right? Yep. So I've been doing this job for about 18 months. This is a great job to have. It allows me to communicate with the other part of the public that still likes us to some degree, which is really nice because I'll tell you on patrol, nobody really likes us and that's all you hear all the time.
Really?
So it's really hard. That the patrol job and the cops you see out there taking calls, the 911 calls, they work very, very hard. And Shoreline's very busy. So they do a very good job. All of us here, and the city is a great place for us to be. We all really like the city. We feel very supported by the city, being Sheriff's Office employees. And so we've got a good group of people here. So Shoreline Police, we are served by 53 commissioned deputies and officers, and that's broken down into patrol, traffic, criminal investigations unit, and SET detectives. SET is a special emphasis team. CSO, community service officer, and SRO. We have one community service officer, Dahlia Corona, and one school resource officer, who's Greg McKinney. And then we have patrol and detective sergeants. And that makes up our 53 there. That's us last year. You might be able to see that I'm the short one right here. But there's another short one right over there. So I'm not the shortest, right? I was so excited when I saw that picture. I was like, yes, I'm not the shortest. Our chief is Sean Ledford. I really like Chief Ledford. He's a great guy. Is really supportive of us, and a lot of us really like him. He does a lot of good work for the city, and he does a really good job balancing between the sheriff's office and the city. So the contract services, our contracting is great. First of all, the sheriff's office wouldn't be the size that it is without our contracts. We have 12, I think 13 maybe, contract cities in the sheriff's office. That's what allows us to be so big. We have 750 or so commissioned deputies in the sheriff's office. And honestly, if we didn't have those 12 contract cities, we would be probably less than half that size. But the contract services that are provided by the sheriff's office to the city at the drop of a hat, canine, either for tracking, bomb sniffing dogs, drug dogs, the Marine unit, which is utilized because of our shoreline, Richmond Beach area, TAC 30, which is our SWAT team, the bomb disposal unit, our air support unit, which is Guardian 1, Guardian 2 if we need it, major crimes, which handles anything major, homicides, robberies with bodily harm, those types of things, and major accident and reconstruction. So if we have any accidents that are high likelihood of death or fatality accident, we call our major accident reconstruction team. So all of these units are available to us at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for call out, should we run into an incident where we need them. So
do other cities use the same ones?
All of our contract cities, yes.
Okay. None of them are devoted just to shoreline. It's anybody who needs them.
Yeah, we're the sheriff's office as a whole, so any of our contract cities, we all pull from the same people. Hopefully, not all 12 are calling on one unit, because that would be a bad night. The exception to this is canine. I don't know how many of you have heard, we're actually getting our own canine here in Shoreline. And it should, we're waiting for the delivery of the dog, we probably got like 10 days left. We're actually going to take delivery of the dog here in March. The dog's going to go live with our canine handler that we just selected. It's Deputy Josh Holmes. And then they'll start training, I think, in April or May. And then they'll be in training for about 2 or 3 months. And then the dog and the handler will hit the street probably in June or July this summer, it's great. He's going to be a cross-trained tracking dog and a drug dog. So going to be very useful. He's going to get put to work, and it's always fun to be able to bring a dog to these things. It's probably going to be a German Shepherd, I think. It's either that or, I know they were looking at a couple Belgian Malinois, but usually Shepherds are the best tracking dogs. So
can they track heroin and that?
Yeah.
Because man, we've got all those people around here.
Yeah.
It's just out of control.
Yeah. So the tracking and the drug sniffing are usually 2 separate things. The drug sniffing, what we usually utilize that for is if we go, if we have a car and we take the car and we end up impounding the car for a search warrant, if we have probable cause for a search warrant for that car, they will usually go through and let a dog sniff the car to get a hit. If the dog hits on the car, we know the probability that there are probably drugs in there is high. And so that's usually, we don't just deploy the dog to go smell drugs anywhere. That's
do you just go out for a walk with him and different areas?
No. I think there's, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not versed on a lot of canine law, but there's like case law and laws set up, reasonable right to privacy and those types of things.
So you're living outside in the trees, under the trees on the trail.
I know, you'd be surprised. What we can't do.
Wow.
It's frustrating to us, yes. So Shoreline Police statistics, we just got our 2017 statistics. So you can see in 2016, we'll start at the bottom actually, we had 15,896 calls for service. So that's 15,896 911 calls for service in the city. Compared to 2017, 500 more. Our on views went up substantially between 2016 and 2017. And what on views are is when a deputy's out driving around and they make a traffic stop. That's one on view. Or they see somebody suspicious and they call out on that and go contact that person. That's an on view. So What you want to see is that these numbers, the on-view numbers, are continually going up. That means we're out there, and we've got deputies out there that are really working. We have almost just as many on-views as we do calls for service, which makes us even more busy. So, but what that tells you is that while we're not taking calls, if there's downtime, they go out and look for suspicious activity and they look for people to contact, which is how we do well with our stats and do well preventing crime, actually, and solving crime. These are our patrol districts. It's kind of hard to see. This map is not very good. The Adam 1 is the Richmond Beach area. Adam 3 is kind of the Aurora corridor. Adam 4, which is where Meridian Park is, kind of centered in the middle there. And there's Adam 5, Adam 2, and Adam 6. So calls per district, you can kind of see where we, quote, make our money, if you will. The Adam 3, which is a lot of the Aurora corridor, is hands down, by far, always has been the busiest district. And that is just by virtue of it being on Aurora. Lots of businesses there. Now, as most of you know, lots of transients there that we end up contacting. So Adam 3 is the busiest district. Adam 4, where Meridian Park is up there. It's actually, the second busiest. Adam 1, which is the Richmond Beach area, is quietest, which is largely residential, so that makes up sort of adds to the statistic there. So I always like to give a piece about calling 911, when and why. People, it seems, I didn't know until I got this community outreach job that people were so confused about calling 911. And I get it, but I like to just keep it really simple for people. If you need us, by all means, call us. If you think you should call us, if the thought enters your mind, you should probably call us. So often I hear about things that are going on or occurred 5 hours ago that we can end up piecing to something else that we actually did go out to and nobody called, and maybe they saw something, but we didn't know it at the time, and it would have maybe helped us on a call that we did actually end up going out to. But people don't call. They just don't know, or they're afraid. They're afraid to use 911 because they're like, well, I didn't know if it was an emergency. So I'll get into this in a second, but our 911 calls are handled from one communication center, and that's in Renton. Our King County Sheriff's Office communication center is in Renton. So we have a 10-digit non-emergency number, which I can give to everybody so everybody can write it down. And then we have 911. The two calls virtually go into the exact same building. So we have non-emergency operators and emergency operators, and they often will switch. The comm center, like the sheriff's office, and like many police departments in this area, they're busy. They're very busy. Our comm center, unfortunately, is understaffed. They handle, if I was to bring the stats for the calls that they take, it's staggering what they do. And they still do a really, really good job of getting us the information in a timely manner and deciphering between non-emergency calls and emergency calls. So when do you use the non-emergency line? If you see a car that's broken down on your road and it's been there and you think it's suspicious but nothing's going on around it, use the non-emergency line for that. When do you use the emergency line? Obvious emergencies. Somebody just got hit by a car. I see somebody kicking in the front door of my neighbor's house. Suspicious activity. It's 2 a.m. You happen to get up to blow your nose and you look outside and there's a car full of people that don't belong in your neighborhood, and they're tossing things out the window. That's bad. Your intuition. People don't often pay enough attention to their own intuition. As humans, we like to override intuition. We're like, nah, that can't be. It's fine. I'll just ignore it. Or, and then later you hear about something, you're like, oh man, I knew it. I knew something was weird about that car. We need to know about that. If we come out, if you call us about a suspicious something, and we come out and nothing is wrong, or we can't find it, there's no harm in that. At least we came out and at least you called. We can't help you unless you let us know what's going on. So we need your help. There's only so many of us in the city at a time. Our minimums in the city, most of the hours of the day are 4. And I'm telling you, you saw those calls for service, right? It's a large number, and there's 4 of us usually to handle calls. Sometimes there's more if there's traffic officers on, and certain parts of the day there may be more, but our minimums are 4. So that's not a lot. So we need your help. We need your eyes and ears. We love to be everywhere. We wish we could see everything, but we can't. Be observant. You know, get to know your neighborhood. That's what a lot of this is about, is having a neighborhood association. Get to know your neighborhood. Know who lives right next to you. Know what belongs, what doesn't. Who can be at that house when the neighbors aren't home? Who isn't allowed at that house? If you see anything other than these 2 cars, you know it's not the right people. Call us. And don't hesitate to call us. If you are having that moment where you think you should call and you can't find the 10-digit number or you don't know it, just call 911. When they answer, they'll find out why you're calling, and then they'll route you to the appropriate operator. If you're on a 911 line, they'll say, I'm going to put you on hold and route you to a non-emergency operator. Trust me, they'll put you on hold. They put me on hold sometimes. But, yes?
2 things. One is on nextdoor.com. There has been a lot of discussion about should police be called, should they not. And a lot of people saying don't bother. If it's not major, don't bother.
Well, that's up to whoever is the victim or whoever's witnessing something. So if you're not witnessing it, you can't call us, right? We don't. So that's totally up to whoever is witnessing it or whoever is a victim. And I've been forwarded many next door streams where I see the police aren't doing anything, the police are never here, the police this, the police that. I can't be there unless I know you need me. So I would love to be able to know, oh my gosh, I need to go to Meridian Park. But if you see something suspicious and your gut instinct tells you to call the police, by all means, please call us. Please.
Well, the other side of it is I recently heard police describing somebody as a chronic complaint. And so there's this, with all the activity that's been going on with burglaries and so on, I get to the point where I'm a little scared to call because you might have noise over here or somebody being silly and everybody yells.
Well, let's talk about what's truly suspicious and what isn't. If you're just hearing noise in the middle of the night and you think it's a party or you think it's a gathering, you wake up, you hear it, okay, it's 11 o'clock at night, I'll give it a little bit. You wake up, it's 3 a.m., and now it's louder and more annoying because now it's been going on for 5 hours and you still can't sleep, call us. Why? Because there's a noise ordinance in the city. They can't be that loud at 3 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so that's a reason to call us. If you see somebody going up and putting up flyers at doors, going door to door, not a reason to call us. They're probably, does it look like something, and this is where intuition and gut instinct comes in. Do you really think that this person is doing something suspicious? If you see somebody creeping around with a hood on in the middle of the summer, slinking around your neighbor's house when they're not home, that's suspicious. By all means, call us for that. But if it's somebody that looks like it could be a meter reader, they're wearing a construction vest, they're walking around the house, probably a meter reader.
What do you do if a police person comes and they don't believe you? We had somebody knocking on our house and against all the burglary stuff. He came, he checked it out, said, no, wind blown. And then we kept saying to him, no, they were counting on our house. Not wind blown.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. That's not common. I would say that if I'm confronted with that information, I'd say, okay, well, I didn't find anybody. So that's an unfortunate experience to have, but
Could that go to a supervisor?
well, it could, but if we didn't find anybody, we didn't find anybody. It's not going to change the outcome. If you didn't like the way you were talked to and you have a complaint about the way the call was handled, then absolutely you can call a supervisor. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So don't hesitate to go ahead.
Yeah, those people go from door to door, throwing out flyers, whatever. Do they get a permission from the city
Yes.
go around?
If they're soliciting
Yeah.
and asking to talk to you at your house, then they have to have a solicitor's license
Mhm.
from the city. And there should be a list on the city website of who has solicitor's licenses and who doesn't. The other thing is they should have some documentation from the city showing that they have a solicitor's license to do that.
From the city of Shoreline.
It's from the city of Shoreline, correct? Yeah, it's not gonna be from the city of Seattle. That doesn't matter here because you're in the city of Shoreline. So yes, they should have a solicitor's license.
What if it's like a school fundraiser type thing? You still have to do that?
There's certain fundraiser, like, you know, the kids and stuff, I think that are exempt. I'm not exactly sure. It's all outlined on the city website. But I mean, I can't imagine
I
that they
mean,
make
you
the
know,
little
teenagers
kids.
come to the door every
Yeah.
now and then with the clipboard, but you
Yeah.
don't know if they're.
Yeah, if they're
real or
selling
not.
things, or
Uh-huh.
selling a service of any sort, then they should have to have a solicitor's license.
Mhm.
If it's the Girl Scouts, I doubt the city makes them
Yeah,
this.
sure.
And they don't really go door to door
No,
anymore,
they don't.
but, so, yeah. So most of the, and it should, I'm pretty sure there's a link on the city website about who has solicitor's license currently and who doesn't. So that information should be there should you need it. And the other thing I tell people is if you don't want to answer the door for somebody, just because they're knocking on your front door doesn't mean you have to answer it. Don't answer it. If you're not expecting anybody, by all means, go up and see who it is. If you don't know the person, say, go away. And if they don't go away, and they stand there and they keep knocking, and 15 minutes later they're still knocking at your door, please call me. I would love to talk to that person. So, people think automatically the person's knocking at my door, I have to go open the door. You do not have to do that. That's your house. That's your domain. Keep it protected. If you don't want to answer the door, be gone. Oops. I might have missed one here. I have to go back. When calling 911, a couple good points to have. You have to know where you are. We have to know where you are. It doesn't do you any good to call 911 and scream at our dispatcher because you don't know where you are. That's the first information they're going to want from you is where are you? Even if you don't know exactly where you are, if you're like, I'm at Shoreline City Hall and I'm outside City Hall right now and I'm looking at Trader Joe's. That's good information, right? You know where you are. Even if you don't have the actual physical address, our dispatchers are very good about being able to find things. Most of us in the city are really good about landmarks and being able to decipher. If you call us and you're like, I'm in Hamlin Park, okay, good luck. We'll see you in a day. We'll find you after we walk the entire expanse of Hamlin Park. But if you say, I'm in the northwest corner of Hamlin Park, I parked my car off of 15th. I'm about a 2-minute walk from my car. Those types of things. If you can tell us, and if you know the exact address, by all means, give it to us right away. This is where I am. Be articulate. Like I said, if you're experiencing something that is a true emergency and you're trying to call 911, if you have to take 20 seconds to take a deep breath to get your thoughts together to actually make that call, by all means do it. It helps us. If you can be articulate and you know where you are. And I will tell you, it is so helpful to us in an emergency when we have somebody on the line with our dispatcher, giving them real-time information. Because it's essentially real-time information for us. And if that person is calm and able to relay facts and what they're actually seeing as it's happening, it's gold for us. It's gold. Convey as many details as you can. If there's a car involved, what color was it? Which direction did it go? What's the license plate? How many people were in it? Who was driving? Could you see any of that? Who, what, when, where, why, all the basics. As much information as you can. Some of it you're not going to get. A lot of times we go to calls, we have very little information and we're just going. But the more we can get ahead of time, the more it front loads us with the capability of being able to handle that better and being able to maybe fix the situation faster, if you will.
I thought there was the technology to locate a phone call.
You can. If you call from a
But we don't wanna
landline,
rely on that.
yes, correct. If you're calling from a landline, your landline is going to come up. The address is going to come up for where that is, and our dispatcher is going to know that. With cell phones, it's a little bit different. What we get is longitude and latitude, and sometimes they will be, and so then our system will kind of cross-check longitude and latitude and give us a cross street. But for instance, there was a 911 hang-up call last night, and it was within 1,000 meters of this cross street. That's 1 kilometer. That's a large area. Okay, so with cell phones, we're not always as exact. Sometimes I've seen some that are very close. It's within 10 meters of this cross street or this address. But even still, if something's going on in a house and they're like, it's within 1,000 meters of this address, that could pick anywhere in Shoreline, and you're like, that how many houses are in a 1 square kilometer section of Shoreline plots? So yes and no. So in the 911 calls for the landlines, where we do have all the information, it is exact, and it's great if you're in a very bad situation and you can't talk. I always tell people, if you can't talk, hit 911, just dial 911, leave the line open, because we can hear that.
Well, on a cell phone, you can text and they won't hear you.
Yeah, but they on the landlines, it's great because we can hear things. We instantly start recording when we get a call like that, and so we oftentimes hear whole things unfolding in the background. That's all being recorded. So. Shoreline Watch, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. It's Shoreline's version of Block Watch. You guys kind of have it already going since you have a neighborhood association. I would always encourage more kind of communication amongst neighbors and maybe break it down. You guys have a big group, a good neighborhood association that sounds like it meets on a regular basis, but if you wanted to, you could always break it down into 5 to 10 households. Make them direct households that live right next to each other. Create your own little mini phone tree, email tree, text tree, whatever you want. Choose one person to contact me for information. Emergencies, there's a couple groups in the city that do it, or not emergencies, excuse me, for information about what's going on, or do you have information about this incident or one piece of this address, what was going on, those types of things. There's a couple groups in the city that are up and running that do this. They have their point of contact, and I talk to them on a pretty regular basis if they have questions about something that happened. What this does for you is it kind of creates a little close-knit, nebulous group where everybody knows each other. You kind of know what's going on at your neighbor's house. Neighbors know what's going on at your house. If you go on vacation, maybe they'll be willing to go over and pick up your mail for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Or if you're gone for the day and you get a package, they see the package still arrive, they can go over and grab it. Those types of things, and you keep in constant communication. I live in a cul-de-sac, and we do it. I'm in text contact with my neighbors during the day. If I see that my packages got delivered, then I text one of my neighbors, hey, can you go grab that? I'm not going to be home until 8 or whatever. It works really well, and it's sort of helping us help you. It makes a lot of sense, and I know there's a lot of, it doesn't mean you have to be best friends with everybody. You don't have to be new besties with your next door neighbors. You just get to know them. Know who belongs there and who doesn't. What's what, and who can come and go and who can't.
It's just observation, communication.
Yeah, really it is. And I mean, if you,
photographs.
What's that?
Including maybe photographs.
Yeah, just kind of go face to face. And I mean,
you're not a door shaker, you're not entering.
No, not necessarily. Not unless, you text them and you say, hey, were you expecting anybody to do repairs on your backyard? No, can you go check? And you go over there and check, and somebody's trying to break in a window. That's bad. Call us. So, Alert Shoreline. Does anybody have Alert Shoreline here? Even know what it is?
I signed up for it, but
yeah.
It's getting revamped now.
I think they might be working on it, yeah. So Alert Shoreline's great. The premise in the end is still going to be the same. Shoreline, it's a great thing. You can sign up on the city website. You can sign up for text, email, or phone alerts, or all three. It gives you information as the city gets it about any of those things that may affect you. Road closures, lockdown, major incidents. If there's a police incident, we get the information to the city, and then the city pushes it out via Alert Shoreline. So it's just good to have. You can sign up for certain parts of events that are occurring in certain parts of the city, so you don't have to worry about something that's occurring that's not in your area if you don't want, or you can just get it for the whole city. So a little crime prevention piece here. Burglary prevention, right? Burglary is the thing right now. Everybody, we've had a lot of burglaries, and we do a good job of solving them, but again, we need your help. So we need you to safeguard your castle, if you will. That's what I like to call it. Get yourself good door locks. If you have one of those houses, there's lots of houses here in Shoreline that were built a long time ago, 40s, 50s, 60s. And a lot of them that I've been to still have the original doors and door locks. Might be time for an upgrade. Get yourself a good working lock set and a good door lock. Second thing, I know it sounds obvious, but people don't do it. Lock your doors. And that means all of them, right? So people were like, well, leave the back door open in case my sister needs to come over. So I think that's how they got in. Do you think? Yeah. Yes, that's exactly how they got in. A lot of these criminals are opportunistic. So they will literally go into a neighborhood in the middle of the day when most people are gone, and they'll take their chances, and they'll go from house to house, skirting backyards, trying doors. And if they find one open, there you go, they're in. It's that simple. Wearing gloves, so there's no fingerprints. You come home, all your stuff's gone, and you ask us, are you gonna take fingerprints? It's nothing to print. They came in non-forced because you left the door unsecured. It makes it really hard for us to solve that crime. And here you are missing however many dollars worth of stuff that you're missing. So lock your doors. And a lot of times too, during the summer months, we see it a lot. People leave their windows open, or they're like, oh, I just ran down to 7-Eleven for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter if you're gonna be gone for 5 minutes and you're going to the neighbor's house, just lock your door. Lock your door all the time, all of them. Alarm and camera systems, there's a lot of really good camera systems out there right now that are on the market. Ring, Nest. We've been getting a lot of shots from Ring, the pictures when people have had their houses burglarized, and the photos from Ring, or the video that you get from Ring is really good. It's very clear, and it's very helpful to us to get those. Alarm systems, I'm a fan of both of those, alarm and camera systems. I have both at my house. I think they're good to have. They're only good as good as the procedure behind them. So if you're not willing to work with the cameras, you're not willing to pull any information up on the cameras, you're not willing to get your alarm system serviced on a regular basis and actually turn it on and use it, it's like locking your doors. If you have an alarm system, use it. So if you're not willing to do those things, I would say those things aren't for you. But I think they are really good measures. Go ahead.
So monitored or unmonitored?
Alarms?
Yeah.
My alarm is monitored, so if my front door gets kicked in, they're gonna know right then that my front door got kicked in. I also have kind of a multi-layered security system at my house. So I actually have motion controlled alarms that are in my home. So if somebody passes a certain point in my front yard on the way up to my front door, an alarm goes off in my house. Of course, I only know that if I'm there, but as I'm at home, then I know there's nobody that's gonna walk up to my front door without me knowing. So I'm a big fan of the motion sensor alarms as well. I've got them set up in 3 different spots. I've got a dark spot on the back of my backyard, on my back deck, and I'm arriving at my front door. And those are relatively inexpensive. I love those. I think they're great because if you're inside the house, you automatically know if there's somebody on your perimeter. So I take this stuff pretty seriously. Like I said, it's your house, right? This is your home. So let's be good neighbors. Learn each other's comings and goings, and start safeguarding what you've got. Go ahead.
Do you have an opinion on window film?
I have window film. That should tell you enough.
Yes, that's enough.
Yeah. Yes, there's window glazing that you can get too. I got my back slider glazed and a couple other key windows in my home. And what it does is it basically makes it shatterproof. So they can sit there and hit it and hit it and hit it, and it's gonna crack, but it stays intact. So hopefully they'll get frustrated and leave. And at worst, I am out expensive window film and an expensive window, but they didn't get inside my residence.
Can they see in?
Yeah, you can still
They
see.
can see in?
No, yeah, you can still see through the window.
Both ways?
Yep, yeah. It doesn't like tint your windows or anything. I suppose you could probably get it with window tint, but it doesn't necessarily. Ours is all just clear.
I'd be interested in hear your perspective about having a dog. And
I
having the dog,
yeah.
beware of dog.
I have a big dog. I have a bull mastiff, and I have my dog because I love my dog.
Right. But
I'm a dog
in
person.
terms of
So,
a
But I think
keeping the
they-
home safe.
Yeah, I think they can be a very good deterrent. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of these criminals are opportunistic, and they go up and they hear a big, huge bark.
How about those fake dog barking things?
Those I don't know about, but
Okay.
with an actual dog, if they see a dog in a residence, some of them don't care. I would say the other half of them don't even want to deal with it. So, with a couple of these other measures and a big dog barking in there, I'd say that's for some people it's going to be a really big deterrent because they just don't want to deal with the chance of getting bit or anything like that because that sucks.
The window film you get where? At Home Depot or someplace?
No, I had mine professionally installed. I would
Oh.
have it professionally installed. That would be my advice if you were going to do it. And I would just search for any company that does window tint. Just search for like 3M window glazing for residences or something like that. Residential window glaze. Do you guys have it?
We're good.
Yeah. There's local companies that will come and install it. So
The guys have been caught on the cameras, on the security cameras, that are like ripping off packages and breaking into houses. How's it going with you guys actually finding them and catching them?
well, we have a couple suspects that we are working on that have done quite a few burglaries that we think are tied to burglaries in Snohomish County, in Seattle, and here in Shoreline. And so the detectives are actually, they have, I can't say a whole lot because it's active investigation.
Okay.
But they do have a couple of suspects, I can tell you that, and narrowly missed an arrest today on one of them that would have solved quite a few of the burglaries in Ridgecrest and Briarcrest at the end of the year, last year.
And also, I hate to profile, but there's a lot of adult males with backpacks walking around the neighborhood during the day, and I'm kind of like, are they up to no good, or are they just, that's
What do
the
you
look?
think? What do you think?
Both.
I think they're probably up to
some
no
of-
good.
Yeah,
Is that what your gut instinct tells you?
partly for some of them, and others maybe they go to school and they're just walking,
Right.
they're college students.
You can
so it's
use-
a little
Where are they going to college at?
Shoreline,
They're not probably walking all over that.
I don't know. Going to the bus or something.
Use your gut instinct.
Yeah.
If you see somebody that you think,
They're walking the neighborhood all the time.
yeah,
All
Yeah.
over the place.
ask them,
It's like,
where are you going? And if they don't want to talk to you, that's probably a pretty good indication they shouldn't be there, right? And that's often to times, I don't advocate a whole lot for people contacting suspicious people, but there are some people that will do it. And a lot of times that's all it takes, is just to go out and be like, hey, are you lost? I see you drive by here and you've been sitting out here in your car for an hour. You waiting for somebody? Can I help you? And just be nice about it. And they're going to be like, oh, I'm out of here. They're watching me. And sometimes they'll get really nasty with you, and that's why people want to contact them, because then people get their feelings hurt. But yeah, they don't want any sort of confrontation. They do not want confrontation. They think they're being watched, being photographed. They get very, very uppity about that. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. We did have reports of those so-called burglars on our street recently, and I'm just wondering, how and when do we find out what's going on, and when do you talk to them?
If you are a victim, if you have been a victim of one of the burglaries, then you would know if any of your things were recovered. Other than that, you're not going to know. And it's just simply a manpower issue. We don't have the manpower to be calling people and being like, hey, guess what? We found the person. So if you were the victim of one of the burglaries and we recovered your property and we think we have it, or we need you to identify something that we have recovered, that's how you're going to know.
Is it okay to call them?
You can call and ask, you may not get any information. Yeah, and in open investigations, we are very tight-lipped about what we are doing and where we are going. And that's only to secure our investigation, because we can't have it compromised. As much as everybody would love to know everything that we do, we just can't compromise. And so we are very tight-lipped a lot of times about open investigations, and it's just because we have to be. So
It's just very hard to keep safe and all that.
Sure, but that's the thing. You've got to use your gut instincts, help secure your house, and call us when you need us. If you think you need us, you got to call us.
is it true that pawn shops have to give you a list of things that came in?
well, they don't have to give it to us, but it is on a database that we are able to access. And who pawns it, they have to have a Washington State or state ID card to pawn something. Not all pawn shops are on the up and up.
Yeah.
So not all pawn shops report.
So I had a very expensive watch stolen. I
Yeah.
went to the pawn shops, the 2 pawn shops right away.
Uh-huh.
One guy was a little squirrely with me, and the other
Yeah.
guy was totally fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, there's some that are on the up and up, and then some that aren't. It's just like any other business. Shoreline watch groups, again, like I said, if you know your neighbors, really good. We're going to get more information faster, even if you're not home, if your neighbors are watching out for you and there's somebody there. Outdoor lighting and natural surveillance kind of go together. Natural surveillance is making sure the pathway to your house is clear, the landscaping's upkept. Make sure there's outdoor lighting. I'm a huge fan of motion lights. Like, put motion lights all over your house. You want that to be seen from space at night. That's what I tell people. If there's dark corners of your backyard, there are solar-powered motion lights that you can get and put on your fence. Last a really long time. I have them in my yard. I think that they're great.
does that scare them away? Really, when it flashes on?
I don't know so much that it scares them away, but if you hear something, you get up, your backyard's lit up like Fort Knox.
Mhm.
So that allows you to be able to see, so that there's not some creepy crawly hanging out in your backyard, and they see the lights go on. They're like, oh, I'm just going to duck down here because there's a ton of brush, because there's no landscaping that's upkept. There's no outdoor lighting. I'm just going to sit here until they go back to bed. So just gives you more security. And security surveys. I come out. If you want a security survey, I can come out to your house. I go through a couple key points and take a look around and make suggestions about security upgrades. It's starting to become a more popular thing for me to do. I've been out to several houses in the last year since I've been trained. And you know, you can spend as much or as little money as you want on upgrading your home to kind of burglary proof it or to make it less appealing. I always say you can't burglary proof it. You can make it less appealing target to hit. So I'm the one you contact if you're interested in those security surveys. I'll put all my information up at the end. Car prowls. Again, number 1. Lock your cars. People don't do it. So, or they will leave their car in their driveway with their purse in their car. It's in my driveway, it's safe. Not the case. Lock your cars and do not leave your valuables in the car. If you don't want it taken from you, don't leave it in your car. Sometimes it's unavoidable if you're going to a place. You know, people will take stuff, they'll be gone all day and they'll hit multiple places along their day. They'll go to school, they'll go to work, they'll go to whatever. Hide stuff, if that's the case. If you have to leave a valuable item in your car, you have to hide it. Hide it underneath, in your trunk, in a hidey hole somewhere. If you can, when you're out and about and you go to public places, park in well-lit areas if you can. There's a lot of big parking lots in the area around here, but park right underneath a light if you can. If you get there before it's dark, try and project what it's going to look like when I come out of here. Hide chargers, phone accessories, etc. Anything that gives them the indication that they might want to get into that car. Car prowls are, again, they're opportunistic. We've caught people 2 a.m. walking down the street doing this, just trying car handles. They oftentimes do not want to break a window. It's loud, it makes noise, it could get cut. So they're just going to go look for the open door. And why wouldn't you? Because there's actually people that don't want their cars. So, go ahead.
Question for her. Do you know of any brand that is good for the solar lights? Because, you know, with a lot of trees around the house,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to, they don't really work.
Yeah. I would go to Home Depot or Lowe's and start looking, or even look maybe on Amazon. Just search solar powered motion lights and then you'll be able to read reviews. I don't know what the brand is that I have back there, but at certain parts of the year they're more dim than others.
Yeah,
you know,
I
November through
bought a
March.
lot of them,
Yeah.
winter times.
Yeah, I would get on Amazon. Amazon, you can read so many reviews, and people are usually pretty honest on the reviews there for that type of thing. Go ahead.
Well, like, I often go to movies, and if I'm going to do shopping ahead of time, when I'm in, like, Fred Meyer's parking lot, that's when I put my stuff in the trunk.
Yeah.
You go into the garage, and
Yes.
You've given them the opportunity, I've got things in the front.
Yep, so those are things you gotta think about. A lot of times too, people just don't wanna carry their laptop bag into their friend's house when they know they're gonna be there for the evening or whatever it is. But do it, that's a lot of times when these things happen. Mail and identity theft prevention. This is a funny story I always tell. That's a monkey sitting on top of a mailbox with a piece of mail. This is a true story in Florida. There was this monkey that got away from someone that owned this monkey, and then he went into this neighborhood and was like eating the mail. Again, if you see this in your neighborhood, please call me. I will respond personally because I would love to see a monkey eating mail. It would be like, I'd be like, okay, I can retire now. That's great. I've seen it all. Mail and identity theft prevention, it's a little more straightforward, but at the same time a little bit more tricky. Locking mailboxes, you can buy individual locking units at the Home Depot, at Lowe's, and that's just simply like a regular mailbox, but it's got a locking door on it of some sort. You can also go to the U.S. Postal Service and ask them for the big locking unit. Those cost money of some sort. I don't know how they do it or how they decide how big of one you get or how you don't. Go ahead.
We did that. We have 6 houses on a little lane and a couple of hangers on either side of the lane. I think it cost $1,200. And we did it through a private company. One of the people on the lane handled a lot of the little details. Yeah. But it's very good. Yeah. We have, I think, 10 little slots and then 2 big package things.
Yeah,
love it.
That's what I have in my cul-de-sac.
Love it.
I like that. I still tell people, check your mail every day. Even if you have a locking mailbox in our cul-de-sac, somebody came and actually just pried the entire thing open. And then our mail lady got her keys stolen one day because she left her keys in the mail truck and went into Starbucks. So it can still happen. But check your mail every day, regardless of what kind of mailbox you have. I just think it's good practice. I hate checking the mail. I don't know why. It just drives me insane. It's probably because I don't get anything valuable in my mail except junk mail. But I hate it. So it's like a chore for me to walk in the mailbox. Shred mail and documents. Shocking. It's gonna surprise you guys. I'm an obsessive shredder. I shred literally everything. I'm like, oh, coupons, shred. Just because it had my address on it, right? Which is a little, I admit I get carried away. But anything that's got your name on it, any information, anything about you, if it has my name on it, it goes in the shredder. And shredding is not cutting it in half and throwing it in the trash. Shredding it is buying a little shredder and actually shredding it. Don't send cash or checks. Up until my grandmother died a few years ago, every year on my birthday, she sent me a $5 check in the mail. It's a kind of a thing of the past. And checks, cash, obviously, don't ever send cash, but checks, some people still do it. If you can avoid it, I'd say avoid it. A lot of times, mail thieves will take mail. If they find checks, they can wash the checks and then turn them into a $5 check. Can be turned into a $500 check, a $5,000 check. So just don't send checks. There's so many other ways to pay people now. There's PayPal, and most medical bills and things like that all have online pay systems available. So you can utilize that and do that. And if you know you're going to be gone for a weekend, or you know you're going to be gone for a number of days, have your neighbors check your mail, or you can go to the post office and get your mail stopped. When I go on longer vacations, I always just have it stopped and have it held at the postal service. Go ahead.
And you don't even have to go to the post office. You can do that online.
Yes. Yep. You can do it online, and they'll stop it. I always stop it like a day before I go, and then 2 days after I come back, I restart it or whatever. Okay, so what questions you guys have? You've kind of been asking them as you go along, but what else can I answer for you? Go ahead. Or try to.
I have 2 questions actually. I don't have to do them both at the same time, but one question about personal safety. How is the crime? What are the crime statistics around personal attacks in the shoreline?
Very low. That's a very low statistic. Part 1 crimes are very low in the city, and I can actually. Guys, give me a second here. Just save the document that the chief sent to me about our 2017 stats. What's your other question while I try and find this?
My other question is, are there any active hate groups in Shoreline?
Not that we know of. I'm not saying that they're not there, but they're not active enough for us to, they're not out committing crimes, at least that we know about. Malicious harassment is something that is outlined very strictly in our policy. And so we have certain reporting standards when we come across a call that we think might be termed as malicious harassment, which is technically the technical name for hate crime in the state of Washington. There is no hate crime. It's called malicious harassment. So as I know, if you wanted the exact stats about like how many malicious harassment calls we took last year, I could get it for you, but I'm guess it's going to be one or two, maybe. And out of those one or two, neither one were prosecuted because there was not found to be any basis for it to be malicious harassment.
Okay, so no evidence that they're like groups that are organized.
Not that we're finding. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but not that we're aware of.
Okay, good.
Who else?
Is the sheriff's department still sending notices about level 2 and 3 sex offenders moving into your neighborhood where they're located?
No, what we do now is the sheriff's office website has a sex offender section.
So we have to go look ourselves.
Yes. I think you can get email notification. But what happened was they were doing those flyers for a long time, and they would actually do a meeting every time one was released. But people quit showing up.
I got postcards in the mail.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, there was one at 175th and Linden, which was 3 blocks from me. And I'll tell you, I studied his picture because I thought if I ever run into him at Top Foods, I'm from Top Foods.
Yeah.
I thought, by God, I'm going to call immediately.
Yeah. So, it's on the sheriff's office website. All the information's there for you if you need it. Go ahead.
Another question. Are there any statistics about whether you should have alarm and allow alarm that a few other people can hear so you
So most alarm systems have some sort of audible component, and there's a capability for a silent component also. I would say most of the residential alarms in the city, I would say have the audible component to them, which is good. Like I said, it's as good as the procedure behind it. So if you get an alarm and you're not willing to use it or you're not comfortable using it, then there's kind of no sense in it. But I think they're good. I think it does, if it's loud and obnoxious, and we don't get there within a reasonable amount of time, then usually a neighbor calls like, hey, this alarm's been going off for the last 3 hours. I don't know what's going on. The window's broken or something like that. So I think they're good. With all the new cameras and stuff and all the new technology, they kind of are, I don't want to say they're going by the wayside and it's not talked about as much as a security measure, but I still think hand in hand with some of those cameras, I think they're really good.
I belong to the YMCA and there's a lot of crime that goes on there.
Yes.
Cutting
You have to be
the
really
locks
careful.
and
Yes.
breaking in cars, stealing cars, knocking
Yes.
little ladies down to steal their cars. Have you guys met with the staff there to help them?
I've been there a couple of times to tell them I can provide them with training, and then I haven't heard from them. So I have many
So
suggestions for them.
aggravating.
A lot of it would be adding more staff that kind of patrols the locker rooms, if you will.
They don't.
Or to put a security person down in the parking areas.
For a few
And
weeks,
so
we had a security guy and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
He walked around.
yeah, and the only way to I can't force myself on somebody.
Yeah.
So they've I've gone in there and done business checks and had
Yes.
conversations with them, and they've never really asked me to come back.
Stuff
So
is going on all
Yeah.
the time there.
yeah,
It's
yep,
crazy.
it is. It's been that way actually for a little while. And it's too bad for the people that go there and use it. So I wish they would do something. Go ahead.
Is there, okay, I heard once, and I fully believe it, oftentimes when there's a racial crime in a certain, like 4 or 5 block area, isn't there oftentimes something in the immediate neighborhood who does it?
I don't know that that's so true, as a lot of times it is often the same group of people, and they may be, quote, passing through. And so they have picked that area because maybe it's a group of 3 or 4 and somebody burglarized the house and they're like, hey, I saw this and this and this. This neighborhood is quiet during these hours. Let's go back and let's hit it. And so oftentimes it's like that, where it's literally by geographic, this is where I am, and I'm staying nearby, and so I'm gonna hit this neighborhood really hard for the next 2 weeks, and that's what we did. So, yes.
Well,
Yes and no to your answer.
On next door, there was really a rash of crime, both mail theft, house burglary, car theft, but between about 165th and 177th on Ashford. One right across Ashford. They didn't seem to come north of
Yeah.
175th.
Yeah.
And my gut feeling kept telling me there's somebody in that little dark area there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It could very well be. But oftentimes it's more transient types that are, quote, staying in the area for the time being, but may not necessarily be what you and I consider residents.
Or maybe they come up and the trip.
Yes.
But it was just,
It's
I just
not
kept thinking,
uncommon.
I took somebody right in there,
Yeah.
because they never crossed 175th.
Yeah.
But
Could
then
be.
from 185th on, there's been
Yeah,
several.
there's been
But
problems
between
up there too.
175th and 185th, there's very little on Ashford.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad of.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, I live on Ashford and one area.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people park there, some of on the street, some of them are taking a bus to work, which
Uh-huh.
is okay.
Uh-huh.
And some of them just park over there and they didn't even put their car overnight.
Uh-huh.
And most of some cars are not familiar, not from my neighbor.
Uh-huh.
So how do we handle this one? That's number one question.
You can call and say that you have a parking complaint, and if they're they'll send an officer out. There's also a form on the city website that if you have a parking complaint that's like a consistent complaint, they're always parking in this area, in this one block area, you can fill out the form online, and then they'll send a traffic officer out to kind of take a look around during the hours that you say it's happening. And then they'll see what they can do. If there's any cars that can be ticketed, they'll usually write tickets or try and get the cars to move. And then we'll kind of go from there. So also if they shouldn't be parking there and we continue to go out and write parking tickets, a lot of times then we go to the city and have the city engineering come out and look at it again. And then there's sometimes they post signs that say no parking. And then that gives people the obvious chance when they're choosing to park there that they see the sign, knowing that they could get ticketed parking there because it's a no parking area. So that's how I would handle it. If it's a consistent problem, I would get on the city website and find that form and do the form online. Okay, did you have another question?
Yeah, the other question is, I was going to ask you that how far do they have to park from your driveway? Because
there's certain
sometimes
footage, and I would have to look at the RCW to actually quote how far, but it's denoted in the RCW how far they have to be from a driveway. And I want to say it's like 8 feet, but it's been a long time since I've written a parking ticket like that, so I don't know. But it's in the revised codes of Washington under parking about parking near driveways. So it would actually be a footage in there.
As much as 8 feet, did you say?
It could be. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I'm not
When the
exactly sure what it is.
Seattle Times had an article about that a few months ago. They mentioned 5 feet.
It might be 5 feet. Yeah.
Edge of the driveway.
Yeah, it might be 5 feet. That sounds appropriate. Anybody else? Go ahead.
We have, I live on 172nd, on the corner of Corliss. And Corliss between 172nd and 171st has no houses on it. And it also has no street light. And so it tends to attract nefarious activity. Is there anything that the city can help us with about that street?
Have you talked to him?
I haven't, because it just occurred to me right now that maybe we could ask for help with that.
I would go to like the city engineering department. There's going to be somebody there that handles that, and they will come out, and I don't know what they do. That's like really smart person technical stuff. They come out and we'll take a look around and look at the residential area and then decide if it is something that they would put a light there. I know the area that you're talking about, and it's amazing being in the middle of the city how dark it can be, but yes, it can be very dark. So, yeah, I would start there with the city. They're going to be the ones that are responsible for that.
What happens to people who actually get caught?
Doing,
Say, a burglary or even an assault? We understand from a predecessor of yours that they go to the the Superior Court of King County.
Yes.
Related question, if we could get to it, is there any chance we could have some of the crimes committed in Shoreline adjudicated at our cutesy little courthouse right here?
all of the misdemeanor and gross misdemeanor crimes are adjudicated in the Shoreline Court.
But not
If
the
it's a
felonies?
felony,
Yeah.
it goes to the King County Prosecutor's Office.
Could we address that to have those done here, or there's not enough
No.
room?
Because it's the county. So they're being we are the county. So even the city of Auburn that has their own police department, any felony crime still goes to the King County Prosecutor's Office, because the King County Prosecutor
Covers the county.
covers all the felonious crimes in King County. So that's why they go there.
What's your impression about how much anybody's actually realistically punished for doing these things when they go down there?
Well, I don't give my opinion. So I'm not going to give you my opinion. Yeah. I will tell you, I've been impressed with the prosecutor's office, and then there's times when I haven't been. I can say that. We work very hard, and the prosecutor's office works very hard when they get a case to prosecute it. We are not in the business of just writing cases and sending it down. There's a very heavy burden of proof on our part to be able to even send a case to be considered by, especially the King County Prosecutor's Office for felonious crime. We have a very big burden, and so we often consult with them. For instance, in the case that I was telling you that took me 4 years, basically, I consulted with them very early on. 8 months into that investigation, I was talking to financial crimes down there. What do I need? And they were telling me at certain points when I had certain amount of evidence, this is what you've got right now. If you want more, bring me this, bring me this, bring me this. Go develop it. Keep looking. And so on big cases, the prosecutor's office is brought in very, very heavily and helped. They kind of guide a little bit, you know. So the burden, like I said, the burden is great on us to be able to prove what we are trying to prove and to be able to charge somebody. So we do the best that we can, and that's all I can speak to. And a very good way to look at it is, if you want to know what would we charge somebody for homicide, for instance, go just Google Revised Codes of Washington homicide statute, and then it tells you everything that we have to have in order to charge somebody with that crime. And it goes from homicide all the way down to like theft 3. You can read about it on the Revised Codes of Washington online, and it will tell you exactly what we have to have and what we have to be able to prove, because the burden of proof is on us.
How much of a pain in the side is our methadone place down here in Aurora, from your point of view?
I don't give my opinion.
Ah, right. Okay.
We don't go there often. We work with them as best we can.